All right, so we're on to the last topic of today, and this is, you can see my cheeks are starting to glow red. I've been gearing up for this. So today we're going to talk about which fighter do we want to see get flatlined out cold in this calendar year. Now, the reason why I'm doing this, it might sound like a strange one to suddenly come up with out of nowhere, but I'm essentially bringing this to YouTube because I think we spoke about this a little while ago. The sycophants came out in mass and really loved this one on Twitter. Like, I made an offhand comment about the very same question, went to bed, I'm going to put this on the screen right now, and woke up to just a circus. You know, it hit 500,000 views overnight. People were going wild over it. One of my most successful tweets. Get out to check me out on Twitter as well, just if you want to see some of the others I've managed to get into the hemisphere.
He's got some wild stuff. But yeah, I love this one because there are so many excellent candidates. You know, there are.
So like, I had Paddy Pimblett was one of my choices last year, but I have to admit that the whole build up with Ferguson kind of made me like him a little bit. Like, I don't love him, but like, and the fact that you're a fan of his maybe swayed me a little bit. Also though, I don't think he's that good, and I do think some kind of humbling is going to come his way anyway.
Yeah.
Juliana Pena was another one that came to mind, but to be honest, if I have any cravings to see her getting clapped, I can just go back and watch Nunes slapping her around like a piñata. So I've got that in the back. You know, I don't really need to see her get KO'd. That's nice. Bilal was another one that came up. Like, when I did my hit piece on him though, I kind of ended up feeling a little bit sorry for him. Like, as I was making it, I was like, that's kind of sad. Like, so like, I feel like I want him to lose now, but I don't really need to see him getting knocked out.
Yeah.
Maybe. I might enjoy it. I'll probably enjoy it. And obviously we spoke about Ian Gary earlier. You know, the more that he talks, the more I want to see that man get fucked up. I'm just gonna put it that way. You know, the simping, the cringy personality he comes across. You know, seeing him arse up would be very, very satisfying. Again though, I don't think I really need to wish for that. I think, like I said in the last one, I think there's some killers in front of him, and I think that's naturally going to come to its conclusion. So without further ado, I've built up to this, and after putting some deep thought into this, I'm going to go with John Jones. And I think here it would be extra funny.
I
think it would be extra funny if Stipe was the one to do it.
Oh,
you know, like
that would be so deflating.
It would be so. It would just be so poetic, you know. I think like the way that like Jones has conducted himself in his whole career, you know, the cheating, the stuff he's done outside the cage. You know, we don't really need to go into that. We know. What I don't like about this whole situation and why I want to see this happen is the way he's trying to set up like a nice cushioned exit against an opponent that he thinks he can easily bury. And by the way, while sticking it to Daniel Cormier as well on the way out, you know, against an aged, inactive version of the guy that bundled Cormier out, that rubs me up the wrong way. You can tell that's the reason why he wants it as well. You know, he's still a salty fuck. He still wants to stick it to Cormier on the way out. You know, and just to put a cherry on, the way he's clearly running out on Tom Aspinall now and treating him like he's an unworthy legacy piece when we know he's shit in his pants. You know, seeing them, by the way, seeing them standing next to each other makes me believe more and more that Tom would flatline him if they fought. We're never going to get that fight, so I hope that down-to-earth Stipe is the one to give it to him. You know? I want to see John Jones, the GOAT of MMA,
get flatlined this year. That's my pick.
That's a good one, man. That's a good one. This was hard. I feel like the easy person to pick would have been Ian Gary, because I mean, I wanted that to happen against Jeff Neal, and Jeff just couldn't get out of first gear in that fight. But and Juliana Pena is always a pick, but you know, like you said, we saw her get beat up. You know, saw her in person get beat up against Amanda Nunes.
I'm so jealous.
But my pick is a little unconventional, but I kind of still want to see it happen. It's another champion. It's Dricus du Plessis. I want to see him get knocked out. I do want to see him.
I can't wait to hear the reasons for this.
I feel like I don't feel like he skipped anything, and he really did show me something against Sean Strickland as far as like his strategy and his ability to switch stances and all of these things. But I still feel like there's some holes in this game that need to be exposed to him. He really, I mean, he is the champion, so it makes sense for him to think this, but I mean, he really drinks his own Kool-Aid. He really does. And you know, the way that he talks, not just about his fighting ability, but about Africa. And it's not that he says that he's an African champion, because he is an African champion. It's the fact that he discounts the championships of the other people who are from Africa. That's the part that I don't like. So I think he just needs a little taste of humble pie. And you know what? The person that I wish would knock him out, it's easy to say Israel Adesanya.
I thought that's
because that's too easy. I kind of wish it was Robert Whittaker that knocks him out. get a little payback. I wish that Robert Whittaker would knock him out. You know what? If they did UFC Africa, I wish they had UFC Africa, Dricus du Plessis against Robert Whittaker, and Robert Whittaker knocks him out. That would make my day. That really would. Then he can, get his little sob story going. It isn't. He can get his sob story going. Build up some empathy for his comeback, and he can work his way back up. But yeah, I kind of want to see him get knocked out.
I would hate that. I hate everything about what you just said, especially if it was, because if yours comes to fruition, like, because I did make a prediction about this painfully at the start of the year when I said who would be champion of the middleweight division at the end of the year. I said it was going to be Adesanya, and I would genuinely be crushed seeing a UFC Africa and Adesanya being the ones who to flatline him. I completely get your reasons behind wanting to see it happen. I think they're fairly, and the thing is, the whole Dricus thing very much had people on different sides. Like, I was kind of on originally I was like, yeah, he's discrediting African champions, and there was the element to it of that. But I think what happened after that, with the lane that Israel took it into being about race, is what kind of put me further into Dricus's camp, because I was like, oh man, you're race baiting. Like, it had nothing, like it very clearly had nothing to do with that. And that's a very dangerous place to take, MMA, and MMA still, I know it's established in the mainstream now, but that's a difficult place. That's a dangerous place to take, a beef of that magnitude, to start bringing it to racial tension.
I mean, that's exactly where it would go. Like, if they were to fight, that's exactly where it's going to go. And we've been there. We've been there with the Colby and Kamaru Usman thing. Like, Kamaru Usman, and he said it leading up, he felt like he was fighting for black people. Like, he felt that way. He felt like he was representing us, and if he lost, he couldn't come back home.
Yeah. It's kind of like when Mike Perry fights on a card. A very similar situation.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, that's a very interesting pick. I was not expecting you to say Dricus. I don't know who I was expecting you to say. I was not expecting Dricus. I think that's a surprise.
Like when we first brought up this conversation, the first two people that actually popped into my head, the first one is easily Ian Gary, easily. But the second one was actually not Dricus du Plessis. It was actually Islam Makhachev.
He came up for me as well.
He did?
Yeah. He did, yeah.
The reason why is because I'm tired of this. I'm kind of tired of the dominance. I want to see something different happen.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I want to see these other dudes break through.
No, 100%. He did come up for me as well. But you know what? The weird thing about Makhachev is I really, you know how much, like, with me and Khabib, it's kind of personal, or it certainly feels that way. I don't know when it started, because I used to like him, but I feel like my hatred of Khabib has unfairly transferred onto Makhachev. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, I guess I've come to kind of like him, seeing him in interviews and stuff since. He seems like a very sort of, and as much as I think it would be good for, because he's holding up so much right now, I think him getting splattered would be amazing. But I wouldn't relish in it. I'd be like, oh, this is good. I would relish in seeing John Jones get absolutely smashed. Like, I would enjoy it. And the thing is, it sounds terrible, because I like John Jones, kind of. Like, I like him, and I certainly respect him for what he's done for the sport, and how, you know, I see him as, well, second on my GOAT list, but that's a big thing. I want to see him get flatlined. I really, really do. I think he needs it. And I think it would be very interesting, just the implications of it, where it would go as well, because would he retire after getting flatlined? Yeah. And then he might end up getting dragged in and staying in, and then getting several losses after that by not wanting to go out that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't want to go the Anderson Silva route.
He's picking Miocic for a reason. He thinks he can bully him in there and get out unscathed. And I think that so far, despite the fuck ups that Jones has had throughout a decade, he's somehow always managed to avoid the penny dropping, or you know, he's avoiding that sword of Damocles almost. Like, he seems to just manage to get away with it time after time. And it would be so fitting if at the very end, a guy that he expects to absolutely destroy utterly flips the script on him. Imagine. It would be. Because it would throw a spanner into the works of everything. The GOAT debate, it would throw a spanner into the works for his retirement.
It's so funny.
Walking off into the sunset. Everything about
it. And that's so funny. It's so funny that, because that's true. People will start to really question the GOAT debate. But the thing is if Jones were to have retired after that Cyril Gane fight, the GOAT debate would not change. They would say, yes, like, he's for sure at the worst top 3 in the GOAT debate. But if he loses against Stipe, it will throw all kinds of things off. He might not even be on the Mount Rushmore. I mean, it wouldn't change for me.
I wouldn't change
because I've seen what he's done to this point, and you know, you lose. Like when Michael Jordan went to the Wizards, that didn't change what I thought about him.
Nobody thinks about that when they think about Michael Jordan.
Yeah, so
pretty much
it would be the same, but yeah, it would hurt my heart for sure.
I would piss myself laughing. I would piss myself laughing if that happened. I really would. I would be high on that probably for a year. But it would be every time I'm feeling down, I just whip out the footage, just like I do when I'm feeling down and I get my Nunez Pena 2 stuff out of. That's my go-to.
Yeah. No, it's a good one to go to.
It's the one I go to.
It's a good one to go to. Another person that almost made the list for me is, it's an odd one, and it's really nothing against her.
I like odd ones.
It's just it's more about solidifying the other person. Is I would really want to see Alexa Grasso knock out Valentina Shevchenko. Like, I think that would be amazing. That would make a star.
And I mean, we're not talking beating here. We're talking flatlining.
Knocked out. So that would mean that she choked her out and knocked her out. Like,
end of.
Now you made a star.
Yeah. And we still haven't quite
because
got that star
they need one. They need a star over there.
They do.
They've been riding with Amanda for quite a while. Before that they had Ronda. Like, they need a star. I don't think Kayla Harrison's going to be that star because of her fighting style. So they need a star, and Alexa Grasso could be that one.
Yeah. And they just, I think Zhang Weili's got like the personality and the fighting style, but she doesn't have the English.
That's the problem.
And that's
the problem.
I love this one. This went to places I wasn't expecting. I'm really I'm glad we brought this up. But and the thing, like I said, the names that came up, I wasn't expecting Drickus to be on there. But to be honest, when I set out to decide who I wanted to, I didn't think John Jones was not on my radar. Because when I was going through it, I was like, I kind of like that person now, or I kind of feel sorry for that person now, or that guy's going to get fucked up anyway. It's like, what would be the most like, boom, 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 like what would be not just enjoyable to see, but it would have really big implications on the entire landscape. And then his smug little face just came flying across my view.
Yeah. And you know what? To be clear to the trolls that I'm sure are going to be in the comment section, I don't think that Drickus du Plessis is racist by any means. I don't think that at all, actually. It's just I didn't like the way that it was said. I don't like to push people down to build yourself up, and that's the way that it came across. That's really what it was.
Yeah. I think the way he handled it afterwards was amazing, but the initial way that he put it out, like, that's what kind of was very funny about the situation to me, because it was like, he said something that was reasonably out of pocket, but then the way that he recovered it was interesting. But I like again, it's not something we've talked about, so it wasn't something that I was ever expecting you to come out with, but that's the fun of doing it this way. It's like, oh wow, I can't wait to hear this. But like, and like I said, there's some of the names that were mentioned, I don't think I've overlooked anyone at the moment. There's no one else I can think of off the top of my head. But if you're watching this, let us know your thoughts. Who do you want to see get brutally flatlined? I'm not talking about lose. I'm talking about flatline KO'd in embarrassing viral fashion. Who do you want to see?
Yeah. I'm anxious to see what people say.
Me too.